how obesity has evolved and why obese people are prone to falling in hunger. Two factors determine biological potency of a hormone. First, the hormone's level in blood. Second, the number of the hormone's receptor in a cell. For instance, of insulin, the more a cell has insulin receptors on its membrane, the more effect of the insulin it gets. Hepatocyte or liver cell has the largest number of insulin receptor, and the adipocyte or fat cell is closely behind, but far more than other types of cells in our body. Therefore, under high level of insulin in blood or hyperinsulinemia, hepatocytes and the adipocytes absorb majority of glucose from blood. Hepatocytes and adipocytes also uniquely have insulin receptors with exon 11, which distinguishes these two types of cells from others, and which is supposed to have more biological implications. Glucagon, on the other hand, exerts as a biological effect mainly on liver or hepatocytes because glucagon receptor is densely distributed on the membrane of hepatocytes. Other types of cells in our body are reported to have a minor number of glucagon receptor. Therefore, while high level of glucagon in blood or hyperglucagonemia, hepatocytes take most effect. Now, let's see how obesity is produced. As I have said a couple of minutes ago, obesity and type 2 diabetes are known to have both higher insulinemia and hyperglucagonemia, which work together to cause obesity over time. Glucose absorbed by adipocytes are converted into fat and stored. Glucose absorbed by liver, however, is converted into glycogen and stored. Take a look at this schematic diagram. Under hyperglucagonemia, liver hydrolyzes glycogen rapidly into glucose, called glycogenolysis, and then release these glucose molecules into circulation at a high rate. Under hyperinsulinemia, part of them is reabsorbed by liver and to be released later with the effect of glucagon. The other part is mainly absorbed by adipocytes because adipocytes have a far more number of insulin receptors than other types of cells, except for hepatocytes. Under hyperglucagonemia, liver keeps releasing glucose into circulation at a significant rate, and the adipocyte keeps absorbing glucose from blood at significant rate with the effect of hyperinsulinemia. Note, adipocytes have very few glucagon receptors. Therefore, adipocyte doesn't release its storage even under hyperglucagonemia. Within a short time frame, sugar stored in liver, which was built up after meal, is transferred to adipocytes and stored as fat there. While hyperinsulinemia and hyperglucagonemia maintain, fat stored in adipocytes builds up very fast to the extent called obesity. This is how obesity is produced. Also, under hyperinsulinemia and hyperglucagonemia, liver depletes of its glucagon store very fast. And when it is no longer able to release glucose into circulation, the blood falls into low glucose level or hypoglycemia, which induces strong sensation of hunger. That's why obese people are prone to falling in hunger even shortly after a meal, and accordingly to overeating. We can conclude that as long as insulin and glucagon keep at a high level, The fat stored at adipocytes builds up at a significant rate, and the obesity is unavoidable. However, as long as the insulin level matches with the glucagon level, i.e., glucose released by liver with the effect of hyperglucagonemia is absorbed as quickly by cells around the body with the effect of hyperinsulinemia. The blood sugar level can keep normal. However, to maintain high level of insulin, it requires sufficient number of living islet B cells, which secrete insulin. Unfortunately, islet B cells in obese people and type 2 diabetics die in large number over time. Our next topic is on why islet B cells die in large number in obese people and type 2 diabetics. Over prolonged time of hypoxia, islet B cells die in large number, which causes type 2 diabetes mellitus. Islet B cells are rather prone to hypoxia. Hypoxia means tissue under insufficient oxygen supply. B cells have a very tiny amount of a key enzyme called lactate dehydrogenase, LDH for short, which is a key enzyme in one step of glycolysis pathway. Glycolysis is a term for glucose metabolized totally without oxygen. See, this enzyme, LDH, is key for glucose metabolism without any oxygen. Very tiny amount of LDH, which makes islet B cells very unique among all types of human cells, and which also implicates hypoxia is closely connected with regulation of insulin. Under hypoxic condition, many glucose molecules undergo glycolysis pathway to produce extra energy to compensate energy shortfall resulted from hypoxia. However, in the step where LDH is needed, since far less than enough number of LDH available in cytosol of B cells, oxidative NADH molecules accumulate, which, while accumulated to a certain extent, is toxic enough to kill B cells. Therefore, under prolonged hypoxic condition over time, B cells die in large number. When the number of living B cells decreases to a certain extent, where insulin level in blood may no longer match hyperglucagonemia, blood sugar level goes beyond the mark, and that is called diabetes mellitus, or type 2 diabetes. For your information, glucagon is secreted by islet A cells, which live well under hypoxia. From analysis above, the regulation of insulin and glucagon is the key factor dictating obesity. So our next topic is how they are regulated.